Welcome to DNA Brick Walls. My name is Shannon Combs Bennett, and I'm excited today to be here to tell you how to help get around, dig under, go over, bust through those brick walls you might have with your DNA research. So we're going to talk about what can make up a brick wall, some strategies to really bust it down, just knock right on through that, right? And how to develop a research plan using DNA and genealogy together. So, how many of you have this look on your face sometimes when you're trying to do research? Just don't know where to go, what to do, what that result meant. So hopefully by the end of this, it'll be more like a, I understand now look, instead of a, oh my God, I'm going to kill myself and knock my head against this wall and throw the computer out the window type of a look. All right, so on that note, let's get started. So real quick, a review of research planning. I call this Research Planning 101. These are the steps that you should really think about before you really delve into a brick wall problem. If you are not using a research plan, even with your DNA results, shame on you. You should be. It will really make your research a lot easier and keep it organized and really focus so that you don't go doo-doo-doo-doo, looking for Aunt Jane, blah, da, 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 squirrel, and you go off into a rabbit hole or follow another trail. This, having a good research plan will keep you on track and focused. Things you need to have written down somewhere. Could be on a word processor, could be in a notebook, whatever you are going to keep all of your research materials in. What exactly is your question? Be specific about it. Make sure it's a question that there should only be one answer to. Gather together everything you know. Make a timeline, print out documents, organize it into a binder, everything together. If you have a hypothesis or an idea about how to answer the question, where to find the information, what you should do, that would be great. Identify all those sources, pull them together, and see which ones, what information you need to gather, what you should read, what you should be looking for in a database, that type of stuff. It'll help you focus your research. Create a strategy. Are you going to do 2 hours on these days of the week? Are you going to have to go to a library? Are you going to need to read a book about advanced DNA techniques so that you really understand what you're doing? Make it happen, plan it, and make it happen. And what's most important is as you research and as you go, and for more experienced researchers, this may seem like second nature now, but you can always come back and reevaluate what you thought. So if you find information that completely makes your research go in a 90-degree turn, it's time to reevaluate your research plan. You may need to do a little more planning, a little more prep work. You may need to think of a new hypothesis. It's okay. Research is ever evolving. Genealogy is not set in stone. DNA, that's a different story, but at least genealogy research can change. Okay, one of the biggest things to do is to deconstruct your wall. You got that question, right? Do you know what caused it? Is it someone, had an affair? Is it somebody moved away and never came back? Is it they just fell off the face of the earth and no one really knows what happened? Are you trying to locate ancestors of a specific, descendants of a specific ancestor because you're looking for that family Bible? What is causing this wall, right? The other thing you can do is you can not only gather your family tree information together, but look for other family trees online, especially if your matches have family trees. Gather that information together. Pinpoint the people you need. Are there similar names? Are there similar people? Are there similar places in these family trees? If you have to take more DNA tests besides your own, pinpoint who you need to test, who from your friends list, maybe you're helping somebody out and you need to say, okay, dude, you need to get these people to say they're going to take a DNA test for you. If it's your own family, who are you going to ask politely to see if they will be willing to take a DNA test for you? Maybe you have to ask a stranger to you. If you're looking for a line and you find somebody has a shared tree, but they haven't taken a DNA test for whatever reason, maybe you need to reach out for them and say, hey, have you done this? If not, I'm willing to pay for it. I'm trying to see if we're descended from the same person. It's worth a shot. You never know. Okay, and the other thing is you may just need to take some time and educate yourself, okay? Sometimes brick walls aren't really there. It's just we don't know what we don't know. And you have to do a little more education, a little more reading, a little more investigating, and then the light bulb will go off like, oh, yeah, that's right. I know how to do this now. So think about it. What exactly is that brick wall constructed of? Maybe it's just paper. So one thing that you can do, and it's a really good, if you've already tested, specifically if you've already tested with autosomal DNA, you may hear people talk about triangulating your DNA, okay? And this is a way that, especially if you're newer and you're still relying on, people love chromosome browsers because it is a visual representation of your DNA matches. Now, you can triangulate and you can solve problems without having that chromosome browser. Sometimes it can be a little bit more tricky and you have to think about it a little bit longer, but it is possible. And both techniques use triangulation. So why should you use it? Well, one, it's taking 3 people, you, a known match, so a cousin, an aunt, somebody that you've confirmed the genealogy with, your another relation, or that how you're related to them, okay? And the third person being the unknown. So with those 3 people, you can look for shared ancestral segments. Okay, if you have data that says that which places on the chromosomes that you match, or you can just do it through matches. So Ancestry, you won't be able to necessarily, unless you download your raw data, be able to see the exact segments, but you can triangulate by saying, this is me, I know this match, who are the people that we have in common with matches, okay? So ICW matches. So that's what triangulation is. It's you identifying unknown people through yourself and a known person. And it helps you, if you don't know how you match this person, you figure out, oh, me and cousin Bob over here, we have this person, Mary Jane, in both of our matches. It's a possibility that we're related. We should, investigate this a little bit. I like to keep this information on spreadsheets, but you can keep it in a word processor or in notes somewhere just as easily. So, but you have to realize that triangulation isn't exactly the same as in common with, and that is because sometimes, especially if you can't see the segment data, you can't be entirely sure how just that you're related to them or that you share DNA with them. It can become tricky if you share multiple ancestors with the person, particularly if you share multiple ancestors on both your mother or father's line. So how are you going to figure that out? Or if you come from a close-knit area, where there's examples of pedigree collapse. And pedigree collapse is where you are descended from multiple shared ancestors. So that can really kind of throw a wrench in this. That's sometimes where you actually need to see the raw data, look at a chromosome browser, see if you can pinpoint it. You may or may not be able to. Okay, I like to create timelines. So for those of you who are visual learners, researchers, write things down, make timelines, and that includes gathering data from your matches and from their trees, comparing it to your tree and your timeline of your ancestors. You can do color-coded spreadsheets where you find segments and you color-code the names or the segments so you can see in one glance across your spreadsheet who matches who. Checklists of people you should be researching, other things you need to do. And if you tested a place that has a chromosome browser, make sure that you are taking snapshots or saving or screenshots of the different matches that you're coming across. And remember that you may need to go back periodically as they adjust and change things at the website to make sure that your snapshots haven't changed that much either. Those are all wonderful visual clues to further research and what else you should be doing. All right. Now, when you get down to just the pure DNA data that you're looking for and you're wanting to know more about, it is important that you sort out what could be false positives. There are a lot of researchers out there who swear by and state that they have found credible matches and ancestral connections with very small segment data, very small centimorgans. However, when you're first getting started and you may not know how you and another person or a group of other people are related, or you're trying to see if they merge and match into another group, you should really look at large segments first. Obviously, because that's easier to prove. You've got this nice long block, typically 7 to 10 centimorgans. But you know, some people go as high as 15 or 20 just so that they can weed out all the little ones, which may not be true positive matches. Sometimes, especially if you're from some families or certain groups in society where you have a lot of shared ancestry, you're going to have a lot of those small little bits because you share a lot of the same ancestral heritage and it's showing up there. You can also do more advanced sorts if you can download your raw data and use it into some different programs out there where you can look at this chromosome number and then look at start locations. GEDmatch does this as well as some other programs. And I like to pull all the data from the different companies into one big spreadsheet. If you have tested at multiple companies, so you're fishing in all the ponds for your brick wall problem, sometimes you have to pull that information into one central location so you can see it all on one page instead of flipping back and forth and sometimes confusing yourself. Okay, other things that you can do. So when you've done the DNA part, but remember, DNA is just a tool. You still need to use genealogy detective work a lot of the time to figure it out. So if you're narrowing the person you're looking for down to a specific area, look at the history for the area. What records are and are not available to you? What records were created or were not created? Because it really stinks when you go looking for a record and it doesn't exist. Sometimes, especially if you're looking for ancestors several generations back, look at reasons why they might have left an area or moved to another area, moved someplace else. Were there natural disasters, wars, illnesses? I had a family that simply moved, and what I figured out by looking at the time period in some history books is that there was a typhoid outbreak. And so the family, to get away from the typhoid, up and moved 3 counties away. Well, I wouldn't have known that if I didn't go look at the history books, okay? Sometimes it takes you putting yourself in these people's shoes. Do you know any stories about them or any habits they might have had that you could look into? Like, did they like trains? Maybe they hopped a train somewhere, you know? Who were their friends and associates? Could they have gone off with some of them? Could they have moved as a pack somewhere else? Really investigate everybody in their life, everything they could have done, where they went, where did they work, what were their skills. And then once again, you should be seeing a theme by now. You may need to educate yourself a little bit more. What do you need to learn about the history, the geography, the type of work they did? Where are their migration patterns that they could have fallen into? Do you understand the DNA tools to help you? Do you know how to search and analyze the DNA? Once again, you may need to pick up a book, go to a seminar, webinar, talk to somebody online. Hire a genetic genealogist if you really get down and you can't get out of the weeds and you need somebody to help pick you up. Those are all possibilities. All right, so don't forget, take a break when you need to. Okay, sometimes when we're dealing with a brick wall, we can only do it for a couple hours at a time, and then we get to that frustrated place where I'm like, I'm throwing the computer away, I'm walking away. Well, if you get to that point, yeah, go sit outside, watch the birds, listen to the wind, have a cup of tea, whatever you need to do. Sometimes if you can ask a friend or a colleague or a family member, hey, could you listen to this? Sometimes having someone else look over the problem or you explaining it to another person will make certain pieces fall together in your head. And I've had it happen where I've been sitting at the dinner table explaining something to my husband and I go, oh, and it's like click, 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 click. Oh, I know what I got it now. Thanks for listening. And he's like, okay, glad to help. Sometimes you can doodle the problem out. So write notes. Oh, excuse me. Write notes to yourself because keeping a journal or a log, and anytime an idea comes to you, sometimes you can go back months or years later, see the doodle, see the note to yourself, and now you have enough information where, oh, that makes sense. I know how to solve that problem now. And always keep accurate and complete records as best as possible. All right. On that note, thank you for attending. I hope you learned something new, and good luck with your DNA and genealogy research. See you next time.